My name's Sergeant Harris, and I'm a U.S. Army infantryman. Yeah, I definitely remember seeing people with the Ranger tab as a private thinking, wow, I want to be like him someday. I will say that everybody's human, everybody's just a man. We've all been there at the bottom. You just got to start somewhere and work your way up. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near the top or anywhere near a finished product or a perfect leader or anything like that. If you're someone looking up to somebody that has been successful, don't be afraid to ask them questions, because that's the way you learn.
How long you been in the Army, Sergeant Harris?
A little less than 5 years.
What's your MOS?
11 Bravo.
11 Bravo. Did you always want to be in 11 Bravo? Tell me a little bit about your start in the Army, like what motivated you to join the Army, become 11 Bravo, things like that.
So my dad was prior military. He was a Green Beret, so coming up I always wanted to be like Dad, and he kind of got me in the right path of where I need to be successful in the military. So I enlisted as an infantryman, or 11 X-ray contract, and that kind of set me up the way I am today, I guess, going down the right path.
What are some of the schools actually that you been to?
Pathfinder School. I've been to the U.S. Army Pathfinder School at the Sabolowski Assault School in Fort Campbell. That's a difficult, technically challenging course. I've been to the U.S. Army Air Assault School. I did that at Fort Bliss as a young private, and I completed the Expert Infantryman badge also as a private at Fort Bliss, and currently waiting to go to airborne school. Ranger school, I just completed that last week. I almost forgot to, didn't want to leave that one out.
What advice would you have to someone to prepare for Ranger school?
Be assertive.
Be assertive?
Yep. You can't be a gray man, can't be a pushover. When in charge, be in charge. But all the stuff that you imagine a good leader being, you have to embody.
What would you say is the hardest part of Ranger school?
Lack of sleep, lack of food, and still performing.
You said you also air assault?
Yep.
Any advice for somebody who wanted to go to air assault school before?
Don't try to study everything that the school has to offer, because you'll get lost, and they do a good job teaching it. So if you're planning on going, what I usually tell people to do is download the deficiencies list that you can find online, as well as the nomenclature packet, and then start getting familiar with those two.
What motivated you to go to Pathfinder school?
That was a window of opportunity. I had the opportunity to go and I saw it being my only opportunity for the foreseeable future. So I took my shot, went, was successful.
Any advice for someone who wants to go to Pathfinder school before going?
I was given the same advice that I just gave. I was given the deficiencies list and the nomenclature packet, and a buddy of mine that had gone through, he gave me his binder of everything they give you in the school, but he told me not to look into it. He just said take notes of how it's organized. So organization in that course is very important as well, going from phase to phase and chapter to chapter. Essentially, you got to compartmentalize what you're learning.
Did you find yourself having to physically prepare for these schools as well? Like, what did you do to physically prepare? Because we talked kind of about the mental, as far as looking up the certain packets and things like that. But physically, did you do anything extra, anything special? Yeah,
absolutely. Air Assault School is a physical school. They work you there, so you want to make sure you're in shape. You don't want to be, becoming a heat casualty or, falling out. It's never good. But Ranger School for sure, I was at peak performance when I went. Since then, it beats you down. I'm nowhere near where I was, but yeah, you want to go as the best performer you've ever been. So I was training up doing a lot of running, a lot of rucking, and CrossFit was kind of my go-to workout style. But that seemed to work out well for me. One of my critiques, a positive I had for one of my graded patrols was I had good physical fitness, is what he told me. So I don't imagine that's a common critique given to Ranger students, but it's good. I still failed that patrol. But like I said, you can fail and still bounce back, so be resilient.
Talk to us about some of your failures as well.
Well, let's see. I failed Assault School the first time I went.
Oh.
I overslept on day 0. Missed more than an hour of the course.
What?
Got dropped.
And they dropped you.
Yep.
You missed 1 hour, and
I think
dropped
that's the standard. Yeah, you can't miss more than an hour of the course.
So you were just like in your room, and you just
slept past an alarm, and then
slept past the alarm.
Yeah, and it was like a 20-minute drive over there. Didn't make it. I was an hour and 4 minutes late, and
got dropped.
Yep. So failed that. Was in the doghouse in the platoon for a little bit.
Yeah.
Got my EIB, worked my way out of it, went back, completed the course. So definitely have some resilience as a soldier if you're a junior enlisted.
Yeah, because you could have easily been like, man, I'm not going back, but you went ahead and you said, look, I'm going to go back. I mean, especially for sleeping over, like you.
It's a dumb mistake.
You could, yeah. Because honestly, you didn't even get to really test yourself. Nope. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Okay, so I see that. I see that. What schools did you go to as a private person?
As a private, I really only went to CLS, it's a common one, Air Assault, completed the EIB, which isn't really a course, but an assessment. Let's see. I was an ammo handler at Fort Bliss as well, and then as I PCS to Fort Campbell, I promoted, and then once I arrived there, I picked up Pathfinder relatively quickly, and then I went to Rappel Master course as well. It's a good week-long course. Teaches you basics in rappelling, and then Ranger School is what I've done since.
Do you think it's harder for privates to go through Air Assault versus maybe NCOs or officers going through Air Assault from what you saw as also being a private going through Air Assault school?
I think higher leaders, NCOs, and officers that have been in for a certain amount of time aren't used to the dynamic of being a student, because they haven't been one for so long in Air Assault school and the way they treat you. But at the 101st Airborne Division, you're not a leader without it. You're expected to have it.
Let me ask you this about your expert in infantry badge. Okay. What does it mean to be an expert in infantry?
It means you know the basics. That's what it means. You've been tested and evaluated on the basics. So it's good for building muscle memory on the basics as well. It's important, especially if you're in a stressful situation. You're just going to fall back to your lowest level of training. So it's up to you to work that lowest level of training up to be something that's going to get you out of bad situations.
And what type of what's tested for you to become expert in infantry?
Yeah, so with the EIB, when you do it, there's 3 lanes, right? There's medical, patrols, and weapons. And the weapons are obvious. You're going to do your saws, 240s, your Mark 19s, your 50 cals, your javelins, all your weapon systems that you see across the force as a conventional soldier. You're gonna put your hands on that, and you're gonna be trained up and evaluated on that. As well as with medical, you're gonna be given 10 tasks to complete. A lot of that's the basic stuff: field dressing, major hemorrhaging. When I went through, we had to perform the Heimlich maneuver.
The Heimlich?
Yeah.
Wow.
Performing.
So if somebody's choking in a restaurant, you could jump up and say, I'm an expert in infantry.
I don't know if that's going to keep me out of trouble with the law.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm expert infantry. I have my badge. I'll save him. No, go ahead.
But you get tested on the basic medical tasks that you'll see. And then with the patrol lane, that's an interesting lane, kind of a smorgasbord of different tasks that include, when I went through, this range card on there. You figure out how to properly fill out a range card. You employ a claymore. You call for fire. You are assessed on individual movement techniques. You're assessed on radio, how well you handle the radio, and the dagger. Just a bunch of tasks. But each lane is 3 lanes, 10 tasks per lane. You get 2 weeks to train up on it, and if you are looking to do EIB soon, or your unit's about to do EIB, definitely suggest that as a lower enlisted, or any infantryman, to be honest, it's expected to have, you just stay focused for the 3 weeks that it takes to get it and come out on top, and the next time they have it, you'll be grading and you won't be a candidate. So that's a better life. I can tell you that much.
Do you think that some of your prior courses tie into the other, like your expert in infantry badge training tied into Ranger or helped you in some way?
Absolutely. So in Ranger School, they have RTTs, Ranger Tactical Tasks, and a lot of them are absolutely identical to some of the tasks you see in EIB. For example, the SAW, the 240, the Claymore, radio, setting up a radio and communicating on it. Those tasks are essentially the same thing, and the steps are identical. So that definitely helped, as well as going through the course, knowing how to draw up a range card properly. That helps you out. I mean, just claymore, a bunch of things. All the training that I've kind of received prior to Ranger School, I would say kind of culminates and is also evaluated there at Ranger School. You're assessed on your ability to evacuate a casualty there. You're assessed on your ability to operate the 240, the SAW, your individual weapon M4, all that stuff. It all culminates into your job. And at Ranger School, you're just doing your job, except you're tired and you're hungry and you're working with people you've never worked with. So.
I know in a lot of schools, the hardest part is usually the people that you work with. Did you find that in the different courses that you went to that to be something difficult, a difficulty that you had?
Absolutely. You throw a bunch of people in a room together and tell them to complete a task for the first time without them knowing anybody in that same room. There's a learning curve for sure.
If there was any advice you could give to up-and-coming privates who want to follow your path as far as, achieving Ranger School, Air Assault, EIB, Pathfinder, what is something that you would tell them?
Stay ready, because you don't know when the opportunity is going to come, and it could come when you least expect it. So stay ready and go when the opportunity is given to you.
All right, Sergeant Harris, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to the audience, giving those tips, those pointers, and talking about some of your experiences in the Army. I definitely wish you the best. Continue to grow and continue to learn. Thanks, man.
Absolutely, Sergeant.